All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Grant Harmon. I'm with Mascot Media here in our office in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We are fired up to do this webinar with one of our great partners in Gipper. And just a few quick notes before we get rolling. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So if y'all have questions come up anytime during the webinar, y'all can go ahead and drop those in the chat. And like I said, once we get towards the end of the meeting here today, we can go through and answer those questions one by one. And so to kind of get started, if y'all aren't familiar with Gipper at all, Gipper is a company that they're really kind of prize imposed on creating sports content, whether it be your little league team, sports club, high school, and Gipper also works with a ton of like college programs and conferences throughout the country. It's a really great way to share professional looking sports content just at the touch of your fingers there. And a little intro for the man of the hour, Jason French. He is cooler than the solar eclipse that just happened here the other day. But a little background on Jason. He is a seasoned sports professional. He's pretty much worked in athletics his whole life. He's a former high school football coach, and he also used to do private quarterback lessons. He's a former member of the USA Football Master Training Program, and he's also shared his expertise with coaches nationwide. Jason is currently the partnership manager at Gipper, and in his free time, he likes to travel internationally, and he also is a star on the tennis court. I just learned that this morning. And so, guys, that's all I've got for you, and so I'm going to turn it over to Jason here.
Thanks, Grant. I appreciate you having us today. Obviously, we're proud partners with you guys, but I want to be very clear about something. I am not a star on the tennis court. It is the most frustrating thing I've ever done in my life is trying to play and get good at tennis. And I wish I would have started as a younger man, but it's been a fun old man sport for me and really enjoying it, not only playing, but being a fan. As I get started here, I'm going to share my screen, so give me just 1 second as we get this moving. Apologize, give me 1 more sec while we get fully rolling here. Excellent. All right. So again, thanks again so much for everybody that's joining today. Thank you for joining us today. Looking forward to talking more about not just, Gipper, and of course we're going to talk about Gipper and we're going to talk a little bit more about our product and how it can impact your life. But overall, we really want to just talk to you, athletic directors, coaches, anybody who's joining us today, live or watching this later, just more professional development. We want to talk to you guys more about, how we can help your lives, how platforms like Gipper can help your lives. And as we know, something that we'll touch on as we are going throughout today's presentation is we understand that the athletic director of today is extremely busy, 25, 30 teams that you're overseeing. And many times it's just going to be you as an athletic director at your program or you plus an assistant. And whether we like it or not, social media is a thing that's so important in our day-to-day lives, and especially when it comes to branding and marketing your program. And we want you to know that we understand the plight of the AD. We understand how busy you are, and we want to be able to help you in moving forward in being great modern athletic directors and digital marketers of your program. And we'll be talking through some of that stuff today. So building your social media program is similar to building a house. We really want to make this very concise and easy for everyone to understand. And what I loved about this, I think it kind of goes back to my old coaching days. And I'm sure every single one of you has seen some version of a saying or a mantra or just an overall, North Star for a team going into a season. And they'll put that North Star in their shirt. They'll put that, they lost in the semifinals the year before, so all of a sudden they've all got T-shirts that say, finish, and it's something that helps them kind of really focus on their goals for the year. And the goal that we want to talk about today in our presentation is when it comes to building your social media is location, foundation, decoration. Very, very simple things to think through. And as we talk about these items today, we're hoping that it's going to spur some creativity, spur some go forward actions for you and your athletic department. So first, let's start with location. As I mentioned earlier, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, social media is arguably the most important and most effective way to get your brand and the information to your audience. And as this just bar graph goes, and I won't go through every single line here, but as you can see, search engines and social media networks are the ways that people are finding the brands they're looking to gather information on, from 16 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44. As you can see that breakdown in the graphs here, search engines and social networks are the way people are finding their information. And so much like with when you go to a search engine, you're going to type in a school name or an athletic department program, and you're trying to find and extract information about that organization and that team that you're trying to follow or get information on. You're going to go to a search engine and you type some things in, and what's going to happen? Their website's going to pop up. Their social media accounts are going to pop up, and those are going to be the ways that you guys are going to be able to find or help people in your community find you, is by making sure that you have a presence digitally with your websites and with your social media, and which obviously Mascot Media and Gipper can help you out with. The platforms which you guys utilize, for the most part, the main three, right? Facebook, largest community, ability to share links and posts. Twitter/X. I don't know if we've made that transition yet to just calling it X yet. But obviously everyone knows Twitter or tweeting something. This is real-time updates and text-based content. I know personally for myself, I'm on Twitter every darn day, collecting information. It's more of like my sports information, my sports aggregator of news for me, along with news and current events as well. So Twitter is highly impactful. Twitter/X, highly impactful. And then obviously Instagram. That's huge with all age groups at this point, younger audience, but I do believe this extends into older age groups now as well. Your parents are definitely all over Instagram. And this is a platform where photos are going to be required, but all of these platforms, photos are used, graphics are used, links are used, and all three of these platforms. Now, if you're a really young AD or a really hip AD and you're on TikTok, well, that's on you. If you're doing dances with your mascot on TikTok, good for you. You are a whole lot cooler and hipper than I am. But these are the platforms, again, when talking about location, making sure that you have a website, making sure that you are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. These are all core components to the new digital way that you need to get your information and your message across to your athletic community. So now again, talking about location, can your audience find your page? Okay, so are your names consistent across all platforms? Are there existing pages your program no longer uses? I'll touch on that in a second. And are you using abbreviations? So in essence, how are you constructing the name of your social media accounts? I'll use a very common last name, Kennedy, right? There's a million Kennedy high schools out there, so that's what I'll use. So is your school, are the accounts for your Facebook, for your Twitter, for your Instagram, are they all consistent? Do you have the same name? Were you able to acquire the same name for all? And then with that, are all of your different sports broken down that way as well? If you are, let's say Kennedy High School, KHS _athletics. Are you that way with KHS _athletics _baseball? Or are you KHS _baseball, KHS _basketball, and so on and so forth? So are you consistent with how you're able to be searched and found, or is it all over the map? Are there existing pages on your program no longer uses? This typically happens when a coach individually creates their own account, and then that coach then leaves the program or the school, and they're the ones that have the access, and they're the one that created the platform. They didn't give the athletic director the login information. So now that school or that sport of that school now has to start all over from scratch. So we would recommend that you not only have consistent names, but you go and you set the tone now as the athletic director, have a document where it has every single account with the passcodes, And so that's yours. That's the athletic departments. And when you have a new coach that takes over that program, they are then also given the same contact or the same information and login information, passcode information to log into that social media platform so they can continue growing that social presence and being able to communicate about their team. And again, that's totally however you guys see fit as an athletic department. You may be the athletic director that says, I want to do everything from just one specific athletic account, or I want to help branch all of our, give access to all of our coaches and they can do their own based on their bandwidth. And then we have it on here, but are using abbreviations. So these are things that are also, are your names consistent? Do you have, there are other ones out there in the wild, and abbreviations. These are all also going to be very helpful in how people are able to search for you. Are you easily searchable? That's going to be so important in people finding your platform or finding your name on the platform that they're using, and then being able to get that information you're trying to give to your community. Next, let's talk about foundation. Okay, so the foundation of your brand. A brand is a name, term, design, symbol, or any other feature that identifies one seller's good or services as a distinct from those of other services and sellers. So for me, a brand is an emotional connection people have with an organization. I'll admit this. I'm a big Nike guy. Big Nike guy. I always have been. It's something happened to me as a kid. I don't know if it was an athlete that I really admired, like Jordan or something like that. Now I'm dating myself. Or if it was a team that was wearing that brand on their shirt, or I don't know what it was, but Nike somehow got their hooks in me at a young age, and I've been a Nike guy ever since. I'm also a sneaker guy a little bit, so I branch out every once in a while against that brand. But in the end, I have a brand connection to Nike. I have a brand connection to certain programs, athletic teams. Now I'm into tennis, like Grant mentioned earlier. So I have a specific racket brand that I like to use. These are all things that I attach myself to, and I have a feel of quality. I have a feel of whether what they do in the community, what they do in the sport, who they're sponsoring. There may be a success that goes along with that brand as well. You have a brand. You have an emotional connection, whether it's your current students, your parents, your alumni, whether it's people that are attached to the athletes and the parents and your alumni as well, that have grown to have an emotional connection with your brand. You guys have that out there, and we want to help at Gipper and at Mascot Media, and in general, you as athletic directors, you want to make sure you're presenting that brand to your community and making sure they always know when they see your logo, when they see your branding, they know who they're dealing with. They know what that brand represents. And so some of the ways that you can put together that foundation of having a great brand is just as simple things like, first, having a logo, which 99.9% of you already have that, right? Everyone's got a logo at some level. Maybe some of you are in a rebranding phase, and that's awesome as well. I got to do that at a school that I was a head football coach at, where I got to help rebrand the entire school when there was a school merger. And so I got to be a part of that. It was a lot of fun doing that, and it could be a lot of fun for you as well when you're deciding what you want your brand to look and feel like, and to what kind of emotions you want to invoke in people when they see it. Next is color. Do you guys have specific colors? I would assume you do, but maybe some of you out there just have, you would say that your color is red or green or blue. Well, what specific hex code, and I'll show that in a second, but what specific red, what specific green, what specific blue? I know yellow always, or gold always gets confused. Some people have a Vegas gold, a yellow gold, a Michigan Wolverine gold, a Laker gold. Those things get all over the place. And I'm assuming a lot of you as athletic directors that are watching today have all had at one way, shape, or form somebody on staff mess up the color if you've got one of those kind of very simplistic colors, or a color that has many shades to it. So do you have that hex code? I'll talk about that in a second. Then typography. Do you have a font for your program? Also, do you have an academic font for your school overall? Do you have an athletic font for your school? These are things to think through, and another way to really solidify and separate yourself as a brand, as a program from others in your community, or others across the country as well that may have a similar look or name or feel to their brand as well. Now, when talking about the hex code, all right, our platform has a feature called, or a tool called a eyedropper tool, where when you load your logo into our into our platform, onto your account with Gipper, you're able to use our eyedropper tool to extract the exact specific color that you have in your school and in your brandings to make sure that you have a consistency in your designs when it comes to your graphics on our platform. But that can also be used, that hex code, uh, uh, you know, identifier can also be used in other areas in your school to make sure that everybody is on brand and is consistent with how they look with whatever they're designing, whether it be a hoodie, a flyer, a website, whatever that is, they can make sure that they're using the exact hex code. Some other ways that to have like a very consistent and a very like obvious brand recognition is, I already mentioned font. And people can do that in like not just using a font that you find on Word or Google Docs, but really creating your own font, making some changes to maybe a font that's well known, but making some design changes to it. And as you can see here with a program that we get to work with, an amazing program in the Tampa Bay area is Tampa Prep. And not only can you see a consistent design theme through this, there's little things that I can point out here that make you know and make their community know that when they're scrolling through Twitter or Instagram or seeing something in general in their community, they know that they're dealing with Tampa Prep, and that's their turtle logo here. As you can see here, they've got consistent fonts on here. It's the same font for match day, game day on here as well. And then this year, or the year that they did this, is they decided throughout their all of their graphics, we're going to have this, and if you could see closely here, this turtle shell in the background as their background in all these graphics. So these are all of our templates, and they decided to make sure that you always knew who you were dealing with when you looked at these graphics. When a alumni, current student, parent, whomever is looking at this content, they know they're dealing with Tampa Prep based on what they're seeing all the way through. It's a through thread line when it comes to their design specifics. So very cool way that Tampa Prep made sure that you know and their community knows that they're dealing with a quality program that is detailed in how they are branding themselves on a day-to-day basis. Another thing I'd like to touch on when it comes to, and as I close out this foundation side of things, is documenting your elements. Okay, so you all, again, we talked about you all have logos, you all have colors, and making sure you get your hex codes put together. You may have fonts as well. Well, you also will have maybe some design rules around your logo. You know, maybe you're not able to put your logo inside of a certain ball. A lot of people do that. Let's say you've got an eagle as your brand or your mascot. And some people will take that eagle and put it inside of a basketball or inside of a softball or a football. Your school may allow that. Your school may not allow that. You may want to make sure that each ball has a consistent design theme as well. There's a lot of ways you can go with making sure that your brand is constantly consistent in how it looks and how it's presented to the community. And you could put that into a brand document for your entire school community to have access to. So the random social studies teacher or the random science teacher that wants to take their kids on a field trip and wants to create a t-shirt or a hoodie doesn't go outside of the brand specific code and rules that your school, either you as an athletic director or the administration at your school has set. Also, some people want to stretch and do different random things to their branding. You can set all that as rules within your organization to make sure that, again, when anybody sees your branding, they know exactly who they're dealing with, and there's a consistency with what they see. Next up, we're going to talk about decoration. All right, so we've talked about location. Where are you going to be found? Websites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Your foundation. What do you look like? What's the basics, the very foundation of your brand, your logo, your school colors, your fonts, maybe some design threads that you want to keep for that, maybe that one specific year, like Tampa Prep, where they had that shell on the back of all of their graphics. Now let's talk about decoration. When people find you, when people are searching for you, and let's say you do have a common school name, or there may be a few other accounts associated with your school. Maybe there's an academic school page, or maybe you're in a K-12 environment where there's a elementary, middle, and high school. Well, when they find your account, when they type in the search parameters, and when they find you guys, do they know they've landed on the correct page? And there's ways of doing that on all your social media platforms. And a couple things you could do to make sure that there's, like I said, a consistent design theme and a very clear-cut way to know that they've landed on the right page in the right spot. Putting a branded header, branded profile icon, writing in the description and the caption there, professional and informative bio. And also, do you have a website? Are you linking to that website? So now whoever that is that's finding your social media platform or that account that they've been looking for to get information about your program, they now see it. They select on it, hoping it's the right one. Then they get onto your page and they see that they've landed in the right spot here. So again, branded header, profile icons, and putting in, your school name or the athletic department name, maybe some accomplishments that athletic departments had or some recent successes that athletic departments had is always very good. And all of the branded headers, the profile icons, you can do all of that and create all of that in a very easy way on Gipper. And ensure content consistency. This is a program that we work with, and as you can see here, utilizing their colors, their branding, you are now looking at, and I have another page here as well, where you can see just the design consistency. If you're in this community, in a normal community high school, okay, if you are in that community or in that city, or wherever they are, you're able to know exactly who you're dealing with when you look at their graphics. And to me, this looks like, and as a former football coach who's always trying to level up in everything I did as a football coach, whether it be in scheme, whether it be in how we're marketing our program, how we're doing our off-season program, you want to always level up. And at this point now, and I'll talk a little bit more about our elevator pitch about, who Gipper is, what Gipper does. But in the end, you want to look leveled up. You want to look collegiate. You want to look professional. And you're able to do that with a platform like Gipper by making sure you always use consistent branding with all of the different content that you are putting out there on a day-to-day basis. So not only are you going to, the best thing to do is not only ensure consistency of how you look, but and also how consistent you post. If you're going to post game day posts or post-game graphics, you want to make sure that you're consistent with that, so your community knows that they can go to your different accounts, whether it be on their websites or on their social media platforms, and they know they're going to get a consistent information from that athletic department. They know when a game's happening. If you post halftime scores, make sure you post halftime scores every time. If you post post-game scores, make sure you do that every time, so your community knows that they have a reliable source to gather information about what's happening inside your courts, you're on your fields and your pools, whatever sports you guys have on campus. Now, some things that you guys can choose. So we've talked about decoration, overall, making sure you have a design consistency, posting consistently. Next is, what are some of the things that you can do and post about? And again, I'm going to barely scratch the surface here on what you guys can be posting about, but we'll give you guys some ideas anyways. And some of that stuff is highlighting success, what's happening inside your buildings. Back in my day, as I'm in my 40s now, but back in my day, we had prep reporters in the neighborhood, and the newspaper was a big deal, and that's where we got all of our information. Nowadays, people are finding their information on social media, and we know that, and we talked about that earlier with those graphs. But a thing that you guys can constantly do to make sure that you're telling your story about your athletic department and not waiting for some prep reporter to do it, you guys now have the digital real estate to do that, is highlighting successes of your organization, highlighting success of your programs. And you could also do that in a very equitable way on our platform. You want to make sure that all of your programs that have success are going to have the ability to get that information out there. And so maybe your prep reporter is only writing about football, basketball, baseball, volleyball. But let's say your field hockey team's doing really well, your soccer team's doing really well, and you want to be able to get that information out there as well. You can highlight that success using quality content like graphics and video graphics or motion graphics that Gipper has to showcase that and highlight that success of just a regular season game, championship opportunity, an athlete that's had a great game or has had an offer to a college or is recently committed. You can do a lot of those things. So you can showcase development of your program. You can showcase the recruiting journeys of your athletes, which is also a huge recruiting and a retention tool for your school as well. But again, you can showcase the success of your program from wins and losses, the highlights of the success of your individual athletes, showcase that journey to everybody. So the people that are following along can be a part of that journey, as well as an athletic department and also individually as those athletes. Keeping your community engaged is arguably the name of the game, right? We all want to get our community knowledgeable about what's happening in our organization and in our building. So letting them know what's happening, letting parents know, letting players know, letting coaches know what's going on by just providing consistent content. I know that, as a former coach, the game is always changing on how athletes want to be communicated with, how parents want to be communicated with, how athletes and parents want to be recognized for their success. And nowadays, all that stuff is happening on social media. I've heard plenty of ADs tell me the stories of, all of our end of season banquets. We used to give out little trophies, or used to give out certificates to people after the end of the season. They don't care about that anymore. They just want a really cool picture of themselves winning the team MVP or offensive MVP on social media. So you're able to do those kinds of things and update your community about the success, again, of what's happening inside your program, but also just keep everybody constantly aware of what's happening within your organization by utilizing graphics on your social media platforms. Next is another way to create interest with your program and also create revenue in your program is using these graphics and these templates to bring in money through sponsorship logos. So we've got a lot of really cool experience working with athletic directors that are in their communities, finding more and more ways to bring revenue in by utilizing the graphics. So most of you are already selling or have been selling space on your fence line in your gymnasium with a banner. Your local real estate agent has a banner in there. Your local pizza joint has a banner in there. Well, you can now do those same types of things with your graphics. And you can, again, we've heard lots of really cool ideas from local gas stations being the sponsor for the football program, and based on the score differential is how many cents off you'll get a gallon at that gas station. A pizza joint, red zone pizza joint type sponsorships as well. So you can get it very creative and have a lot of fun. You can sell individual sports sponsorships, like every football graphic, every volleyball graphic is going to come to, or is going to be sponsored by, let's say, a car dealership in your neighborhood. So a lot of interesting ways people are generating revenue with platforms like Gipper. So I like to talk about, if you're going to pay for the digital real estate, obviously Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are free, but utilizing a platform like Gipper or utilizing another graphic design platform, you're either going to be spending money or you're going to be spending a boatload of time creating graphics. Our platform is very quick and easy to use, but there's other platforms where you're going to sit there and be creating graphics for many hours. So utilize that digital real estate that you have, whether you pay for it or you pay for it in time. Find a way to bring some money into your organization by using these sponsorship graphics. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Grant here to talk about ways that you current Mascot Media folks and you potential new Mascot Media users can utilize Mascot Media and within their back end find ways to bring in graphics from Gipper as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jason. And I've seen a few more people hop in the on the webinar here today. And just as a quick reminder, guys, we're going to be having a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. So here in just a little bit. So if y'all have questions in the meantime, please feel free to drop questions in the chat, and we'll get to those here. And like I said, just a little bit of time. But as Jason mentioned, Gipper pictures, post-game scores, athlete of the week photos, they work really well with our platforms, specifically on the on our websites. So as you can see, this is kind of on like our the home screen of our back end website, where you can go in and add pictures, roster schedules, whatever it might be. And we've got it's about a 4-click process is all it takes. As you can see here on the screen, it's really easy to upload these pictures to the website, right? And so with these pictures, like Jason said, you can include sponsorships from the local gas station, whatever it might be, that are included on these Gipper images here. And so really, I mean, it's a, like I said, a 4-click process to get these uploaded to y'all's digital platform.
Awesome. Well, yeah, in talking about that before I jump into the or talk through this next slide here is we know that fresh content is one of the more difficult things for athletic directors or webmasters to have on hand to create, fresh content for their audience on their website homepage, on that image slider, on their apps. These are the kinds of tools and products that Mascot Media have, and that's what really helps. What can really help you guys as athletic directors and webmasters is utilizing the same graphics that you create on social media and through Gipper on your web home pages as well. So, and again, a very easy route to do that. Now, we talked about location, foundation, decoration. We talked about, things you got to think about when it comes to overall social media marketing. We know that we now know at this point how important social media is. How to do the very fundamental things about making sure that you have a great looking brand, making sure your colors are consistent. The platforms utilize all those things on making sure you are creating content and also creating consistent content and making sure that you have a consistent look and feel on how you do that. And so we've talked about those things on the professional development side. Now I want to chat a little bit about Gipper as a whole, and I'll give you my quick, sales pitch and the thing I say to most athletic directors when I meet them on the road at a lot of the different athletic director conferences that I attend. And Gipper is a templated graphic design platform built for athletic directors, club directors, coaches to create Division I level, professional level graphics in under a minute with no design experience needed. We have over 3,500 templates on our platform. We've got roughly 600 brand new ones this year. Every single one of those templates are created by a former Power 5 Division I designer from places like Alabama, Nebraska, St. John's. So every single one of these that are created are all from people that have been in these major athletic departments creating these graphics for all these major Division I programs. So we want you guys to know that as well, that when you utilize a graphic from Gipper or create a graphic from one of our templates, it's coming from the highest quality designers in the business. We've also got an app for you guys to utilize. That's something that really separates us from our few competitors that we come across in the space. That means you're able to, like I mentioned before, create a graphic in under a minute on our platform, no design experience needed. So you can create that graphic on your desktop and then easily store that on the app overall on your account. You can open the app from your phone, and this is great for end of game, mid game, where you already created the graphic, but you do like a halftime score or an in-set score for like a volleyball match or a post-game score, and you've already done the hard work of creating the graphic, but all you need to do is throw in some numbers and type those numbers into that graphic, and then you can post directly from the Gipper platform, again, which we have an app of. So very easy to do this on the road and on the bus, from the sideline, wherever you are on the road there as an athletic director or coach. Next, I want to talk a little bit about, marketing automation. I mentioned this at the very beginning. Again, we've been traveling the country, talking through a different presentation deck, but it coincides with this as well. Is we know you athletic directors are now becoming modern digital marketers. We know that's happening in your life, and that's part of a lot of new job descriptions in the athletic director and coach space. What we also know is that you're slammed with time. You got so many things going on. So we want to make sure that we provide you a tool to speed up the process. You have to have a social media presence. You have to start creating graphics to really grab people's attention to get that information out to your audience. Well, how can you do that in a fast way? Well, we've got these answers for you as well at Gipper. And our first one I want to talk through is what we call auto brand. When you start your 14-day free trial, which we'll talk about in a second, when you become a new subscriber of Gipper, you'll be able to get your logo, your official school colors loaded into the platform. So when you select a template on our platform, one of our 3,500 plus templates, all you have to do is click on an auto brand button, which is signified here in this green shuffle button, and it'll throw your official school colors into that template, and then you could shuffle through them to see which color combination you like best, and then move away and from there and just start adding a picture, the specific content, the name, and logos, and you're ready to go for that graphic. So again, I'll say creating great graphics in under a minute. You can do that now in darn near 30 seconds. The next thing is our social scheduling. So as I mentioned before, we know you guys are busy. You have a lot going on, 25 teams within your organization. You're in a specific season where you have multiple sports going on at one time. You can sit there on a Monday morning or a Sunday afternoon. You can create all of the game day graphics and your weekly schedule graphics within an hour for all of your sports. And then you could schedule it out in advance and not have to touch it for the rest of the week. So you can set and forget utilizing our social scheduling tool. We've heard ADs do this for all of their weekly game day posts. We also have ADs. I listened to one guy tell me the other day where he's really into birthdays. He really likes doing birthday posts for every single coach on staff, head coach through assistant coaches as well. So on picture day, they get every coach's picture. He makes the birthday template, creates the birthday template, throws in the name and the picture of every single one of these coaches for the entire school year, schedules it out on their scheduler, and doesn't touch it for the rest of the year. And it really helps provide that family feel of the organization and makes those coaches feel special as well. And they are able to do that in a very short amount of time. Next, and another thing that we got coming out here real soon and really exciting thing for us is newsletters. So this is another way for you to communicate in a little bit of a longer form way with your organization, or I'm sorry, with your community. And you can start creating newsletters. We've got a beta test going right now. The full feature should be out, I'd say, some point in May, where you're able to now start creating weekly, bi-weekly, monthly newsletters where you can go a little bit more long form with your community to let them know what's happening inside your athletic department, let them know about the wins. Maybe they just scrolled right past some information, important information you want to let them know about. Well, they can then read through that. You had a great fundraiser. They can read about, what your organization has bought with those fundraising dollars. Our newsletters can have graphics that you're creating on Gipper on there. You can have long form articles, things that connect back to the mascot media pages as well, where the different news articles, you can recycle some of those news articles as well. There's also lots of calls to action links that you can add into that newsletter as well when it comes to going back to the web page for mascot media, downloading an app for mascot media, making sure that they're buying tickets for your events by going through maybe Hometown or GoFan. You have a huge fundraiser going on with, let's say, Snap Raise. You can have a logo or an icon there for people to click on and go to those fundraising pages as well. So you can get all that information distilled and presented to your audience by utilizing our new Gipper newsletter. So very exciting stuff coming here this year in 2024. As I close out, I mentioned this earlier, when it comes to when I was mentioning the beat reporters and the youth sports reporters in your neighborhood or in your communities, nowadays you need to be the one telling your story. And if you're not the one telling your story, you're going to allow somebody else to do that for you. So make sure you guys are telling your story, talking about the successes and the great things happening in your organization, in your program, or else somebody's going to do it for you, whether it's word of mouth through parents or a prep reporter talking about it. You be the one, you be in charge of your story, and utilizing platforms like Mascot Media, utilizing platforms like Gipper are going to be some of the best ways you can do that. Lastly, I'll end here, and then I'll hand it back over to Grant here for a second. Is our goal is we would love to have you guys all learn more about Gipper, and there's two ways you guys go about and do that. One is book a demo, and as you guys see that QR code there, you can book that demo. Talk with one of our sales rep, 15, 20 minutes, very easy, very informal. They'll show you a little bit more about how easy it is to use our platform. So you've heard me talk about, that phrase, create Division I professional looking graphics in under a minute, no design experience needed. You may be sitting there thinking, is he really telling the truth? Get a meeting with one of our sales reps. They'll show you how easy it truly is, and you guys can see if it's the right fit for you and your program. I'd also encourage you, if you're not ready to speak to a sales rep, go ahead and speak with somebody or go ahead and start your own free trial. You can do a 14-day free trial and see and play around with our platform to truly see how easy it is, how user-friendly it is, how intuitive it is for you veteran athletic directors all the way down to brand new athletic directors. So go ahead and either book a demo or start a free trial. Grant, I'll hand it over to you.
Absolutely, Jason. Appreciate it. And as y'all saw on that previous slide, and I think I see a few of our current Mascot Media clients here on this call. You saw on the last slide that Jason mentioned that if you run y'all's free trial or demo, whatever it is, through Mascot Media, we are, like I said, partnered with Gipper here. We can give y'all that 20% discount, once y'all get signed up for Gipper. But with that, if there are current Gipper clients on this call that are interested in, maybe talking to someone at Mascot Media or, just booking a demo or a trial, whatever that might be, we have all of our information on this screen, and we'd love to connect with you, for a digital platform, whether that be for a mobile app, a website, or both.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to you guys all see this, schoolsalesmascotmedia.net and the website there. And then again, I'll leave this for another minute or so. And from there, I think we're open to answering any questions if we had any. I'm not able to see any questions on my end, so I don't know if anybody between our team or you, Grant, see any questions.
Doesn't look like we've had any come through just yet.
Okay.
So give it a minute or two.
Okay. Well, I'm being told we don't have any questions at this time, so let me I'll do my little ending closeout here. Again, thanks everybody for listening today, whether you came in live or if you're going to watch this later. Again, always love talking to the Mascot Media folks and working with them. It's been a great partnership. Grant, thank you again for having us today. Thank you for all the hard work from both the Mascot Media and the Gipper staff to get this put together and market this. Again, if anybody has any questions, wants to learn more, go ahead and book that demo, schedule a free trial. You can also reach out to me, Jay French at GOGIPPER.com. So jfrench at gogipper.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And yeah, looking forward to meeting some of the athletic directors on the road. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the country. So I'll be in California, or I live in California now, but I'll be at the California Athletic Directors Conference this week. I'll be in Washington at some point at the end of this month. So we bounce around a little bit. I'm sure the same is, for Mascot Media. So love to have you come up and introduce yourself and talk to me. I always love meeting ADs and coaches. So looking forward to seeing you guys on the road. And again, thank you so much. And I really hope you all have a great rest of your week.